So, what do we have today in a land of butthurt and misinformation? Let's see what's on the noob tube.
Let's all be clear. President Trump's order has nothing to do with security.
That's right.
I'm Sean. I have a couple of questions. I want to go back to the issue of this travel ban.
Well, first of all, it's not a travel ban. I think you heard Secretary Kelly, and I apologize. I just want to make sure I get this straight. I think Secretary Kelly or one of the other individuals that got up there from DHS mentioned, I think 1 million people have now come into this country. That's not a ban. What it is to make sure that the people who are coming in are vetted properly from 7 countries that were identified by the Obama administration. A ban would mean people can't get in. We've clearly seen hundreds of thousands of people come into our country from other countries. Sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But mind you, I have 2 questions.
I know, of course.
So with all of this happening, and as you're trying to give specifics about what's happening, what is the concern about the fallout from other countries who are viewing this still in a certain way? Have you looked at the fallout and how to counter it and how to work with these other countries that may be allies or even may not be allies in order to prevent something from happening?
Well, I think, April, one of the things that we're doing is trying to make sure that people understand what actually happened. You know, I saw reporting today that Secretary Kelly was out of the loop and he was on a plane and flying, and then it was reported on one of the networks and major institutions about what happened. Secretary Kelly comes out and says, I was briefed on this time, I was talked to this time, the edits came from my staff. I don't know how, I don't want to spend each of these briefings talking about misinformation, but at the end of the day, a major newspaper and a major network reported today that they were kept out of the loop. The Secretary detailed multiple occasions in which he was briefed on it. His staff made edits to it. I don't know how much more. And so I think part of what we're trying to do is make sure that people actually understand what happened, what the process was, and what the order actually does. Because when we use words like travel ban, that misrepresents what it is. It's 7 countries previously identified by the Obama administration where, frankly, we don't get the information that we need for people coming into this country. Because what this isn't about is not just the people. It's about the information that another country provides us. So we work with other countries, and we have systems in place to ensure that when you travel from our country to their, or from their country to our country, or vice versa, that we are sharing information about passengers and citizens that are going in and out. These 7 countries in particular, we don't have the information that is necessarily required to make an accurate determination at the time of entry into our country. So we are going to make sure that because that country doesn't have maybe either the systems in place or in some cases the willingness to provide us the information necessary to ensure that the people that are coming into this country are properly vetted. This isn't about refugees, it's about travelers. And that's what this is about. And so part of what we're doing is frankly making sure that other countries understand exactly what was in the order, how it applies, what it means to visas and waivers and all this kind of stuff. But for the most part, you've seen a lot of panic and the people actually stopping, reading the order and realizing, oh, that's it? And I think that's where we've tried to make sure that people have the facts.
So you're doing outreach for that?
We're not just doing outreach. I think we're doing as many briefings. Secretary Kelly going out there a little while ago with the head of both ICE and CBP is trying to make sure that people understand that the process is working correctly, it's working very well, that the government is doing what it's supposed to protect its people. And that's the number one thing that we can do.
Little girls who flee murderers are not a threat to the United States.
Yes.
Elderly grandparents in airports are not a threat to the United States.
That's right.
Students, teachers, people who work right here in Massachusetts are not a threat to the United States.
That's right.
Oh my God. You know, it's not like terrorists arrive in a country and declare, hey, I'm a terrorist. I'm here to kill you. How ridiculous. Sit down. Shut up.
Iraqi translators who laid down their lives to help us are not a threat to the United States.
Yes.
No, this order is not about terrorist threats.
Yet, Senator, you stand behind a podium sponsored by terrorism. CARE is a known terrorist organization, maybe not by the Obama administration, but obviously by people who know, namely the United Arab Emirates, a Muslim country in the Middle East, no less. Yes, let's not listen to them. Let's listen to your nonsense.
This order is about religious tests. And the United States does not impose religious tests, period.
Under whose authority are you not issuing letters? We're not leaving you to
Do your job.
I pay your salary. I pay you to discriminate against me right now. I'm paying for this memory with my partner that I love, that I've been with for 17 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Link Austin reporting for the Next News Network. We're talking about this shocking news that came out yesterday that the state of Oregon, an administrative law judge, ordered Sweet Cakes by Melissa to pay $135,000 for refusing to bake cake for this lovely same-sex lesbian couple. Newlyweds Laurel and Rachel Bowman Cryer complained to the state when Sweet Cakes by Melissa, which is a family-owned business operated by husband and wife, refused to serve them based on their sexual orientation. Apparently, these folks just really wanted to make a stink and have someone bake them a cake that didn't even like them. I don't understand the mentality by this forcing businesses to want to do something for these gay weddings when the people are not going to be into whatever they're doing, even if they were forced to do it.
It is illegal, it is against the Constitution, and it is against the very foundations of our democracy.
And I know you have an affinity for gay people. I know that, as you should. You should have an affinity for all people. But what about gay people, men who are thrown off of buildings? What about that? Why does it never enter your frame of reference? Why does it never enter your intellectual perspective wheelhouse? I don't get it. Why don't you ever talk about how Soros is behind this? Go back to Soros. You want to talk about the Nazis? You want to talk about being sold out to the Nazis? Read his story. Go back. Do some research. It's right there on the Google. What you're about is very simply this. You want to stop Trump and not terrorism. That's it. Plain and simple. Your job is to stop Trump. You've got, there's a word. You could say, well, you have an obsession. You're focused. You know what it's called, to use American parlance? You have a hard-on for him. That's precisely what it is. It's this unnatural fixation.
Lawyers across this country have dropped everything and are doing God's work, fighting for justice.
Hundreds of thousands of people have gathered right here in Washington, D.C. for the Women's March. As you can see, I'm surrounded by them, a lot of them wearing pink little toques, which they call pussy hats. Anyway, a lot of them are out here protesting about they want to see decency in the White House. They're fighting against things like rape culture. So I thought I'd ask them about a little woman that you might have heard of, Juanita Broaddrick. She's a woman who says that President Bill Clinton raped her back in the 1970s and that she was threatened by Hillary Clinton. Except I did a little something different. I said that her allegations were against Donald Trump. And this is what folks had to say. Juanita Broaddrick, you probably already know, this is a woman who has said that President Trump raped her back in the 70s. Amazing. And I'm wondering if it's time we start believing all victims and maybe see this man convicted, impeached even.
I just think there's so many problems with all of that statement. Like the fact that we even have a president in office where something like this is surrounding his reputation. For anyone else, this would be over. Like it's just it's unbelievable. I guess it's just what money can buy and a slick word can do.
There's a woman named Juanita Broderick who has accused President Trump of rape dating back to the 70s. You've probably heard of it. And I'm just wondering if you think that we should take this a little bit more seriously, maybe look into charges, conviction, and even impeachment.
Yes. Yes, definitely. I was sad that they dropped the case, but I hear that she had death threats against her, so it was too bad.
She talked about threats for sure.
Yeah, and it's just wrong. I mean, he's a predator and he's a rapist, and I can't believe that people think that it's okay to have somebody like this leading our country.
What is this woman going to benefit from lying? I mean, he's already the president of the United States. Like, people who come forward with these kind of allegations should be listened to. They should always be listened to.
We will not stop fighting until this executive order is tossed in the dustbin of history.
These will be something. Okay. I think we're going to be in really good shape. Great.
Phil just wants to say.
We wanted to reclaim the idea of the word pussy hat because it shouldn't be a demeaning word. And one of the ways to claim it back is to use it. So it is called the pussy hat, and we're proud to wear it.
Okay, bye.
Knitting definitely reduces tension, and so when there are people who are leading our country that I think really are incompetent, knitting helps me cope.
We will not give ISIS more material for recruiting based on religious hate.
You're going to kill me? No. Say that again.
We will stand for Massachusetts values. We will stand for American values. We will stand for human values. We will not be divided by Donald Trump's hate.
They're beating the hell out of people here. Hey man, why are they attacking you?
Because they're fascists. Anti-fall fascists.
Were you
They disagree with anything that is against their views. That's the definition of fascism.
Alright, I'm going back to the crowd here. They just beat the hell out of like 3 people. People don't want their fucking faces on film. Don't worry, man. Don't worry. Don't fucking film. Put it away. Dude, I'm just trying to... No. Nobody wants their fucking faces filmed. Fine, man. Well, some guy just tried to stop me from filming. This guy is knocked out. He's still breathing.
We will stand together with our Muslim brothers and sisters, and we will say an attack on one of us is an attack on all of us. We will fight back. We will will fight back in the courts, we will fight back in Congress, and we will fight back across America. It is
Not to mention, it is becoming a part of a de rigueur kind of a, hey, this is great. I'm gonna just, it's my new thing. I'm anti-Trump. I remember when people were writing on their hands because it was cool. People take their little yoga mats because it's cool. People were doing their chai lattes because it's cool. People were climate change because it's cool. You're an empty vessel. You don't know anything about facts, anything about history, and it has become now a combination of, and I keep talking about this, mob mentality, herd mentality, mob psychology, Le Bon and Kierkegaard, and Nietzsche, and everybody talked about this, Bernays, public relations, propaganda, you name it. It is now a subject that brings you together, that allows you to share an allegiance with your fellow compatriots by having this absolutely unhealthy fixation and this OCD targeted obsession with all that is Trump. You don't know anything about the facts because it doesn't matter to you. It doesn't matter. All you have to have is hate. You don't have to know anything about anything.
Questions, John Roberts.
The removal last night of Ms. Yates from her position has raised questions as to how this president will deal with dissent in the ranks currently and in the future. Does he see what she said yesterday as a difference of opinion, an act of insubordination? How would he read it, and how will he act on similar things in the future?
Well, there's a big difference, John, between listening and sharing ideas and executing lawful orders. It is the right of every American to express their idea and opinion. And frankly, that's what you've seen the president do today. We're talking about leaving, at the 2 o'clock hour, him sitting down with cyber experts to get their opinions and ideas on how to protect our critical infrastructures. But there's a difference when she, as the acting attorney general, is not only responsible but required to execute lawful orders and defiantly says no. As someone who has chosen to lead a department, she was rightfully removed. That is a position of leadership that is given to somebody who is supposed to execute orders that are handed down to them properly, of which that executive order was 100% done. Ironically, it went through their offices, the Department of Justice Office of Legal Compliance. So the idea that it went through the entire process of which they were part of, and then she chooses not to execute it, actually is bewildering as well as defiant.
So, Mr. President.
Well, she was obviously asking to be fired. And this man was happy to oblige.